Hello everybody, this is Oski, and I haven't made a video in a while. I've been doing a lot of camping, vacationing, trying to enjoy the last little bit of summer here before the school year starts up. But I wanted to talk about Shock and Awesome and all these nerfs we've been having lately. So, the start of the season was absolutely amazing. One of my favorite experiences playing a brand new season, just based on the loot pool, the weapons, the map, and the concept and the theming of the whole season was all phenomenal in my opinion. Definitely one of their strongest launches. The medallions felt really powerful, and I definitely had a few moments where I got absolutely clipped by, a good player that was using multiple of the medallions. So the power level was there. I do think they were in need of a nerf, but also on the other hand, I had the medallions myself on numerous occasions, many of the matches that I played. So at least in my lobbies, my experience was it wasn't really hard to get the medallions right away. I don't know if people didn't know about how powerful they were and didn't land at the Queen POIs, but I would often find myself there alone being able to get at least one medallion in the Mythic. I think that, like I said, I think the first round of nerfs was definitely necessary, but ended up being a little bit of an overcorrection by Epic. And so let's go over that first round of nerfs right now. The Wrecker Revolver's mid and long range damage was nerfed by 4%, which is not a huge amount, but I still feel it when I use the gun. It feels just a little bit less powerful. The Wrecker Revolver's max range was nerfed by 30 to 50%. This right here is the killer. The gun feels extremely less powerful now because of this long-range nerf, and that's essentially what it was for. It's still definitely the best in slot shotgun this season, in my opinion, but it's a lot less crazy and a lot less fun like the start of the season when you have this gun. The Wrecker Revolver's headshot damage was also nerfed by 10. You don't really feel that much. But yeah, like I said, that nerf to the range was insane. I think it could have easily been about 20 to 30% range nerf instead of 30 to 50%, because 50% nerf on anything is wild. And we'll see that come up again in a little bit. Next, they nerfed the Shockwave grenade spawn chances by 33% or a third, which to me is also really crazy because now you get 2 instead of 6 from a drop pod. I think 4 instead of 6 would have been a lot more appropriate when you consider the fact that it is essentially the only movement this season coming from the past season where we had an insane amount of movement by the end of it with the cloak, the Storm Beast, the Light Rider's surfboard. There was literally so many different ways you could move around the map. And now we only really have the shockwaves because of something else I'll talk about. And then the Swarm Strike, the rocket launcher, which was really good. I had a lot of fun with it. It was definitely a little bit overpowered for sure. But it was also nerfed, having its radius reduced by 15%, which I do think it was OP. And now it feels a lot harder to hit all those rockets. You have to actually use some skill to make sure you get all those rockets, and it's not going to do as much damage as it was doing. But it definitely feels a little bit less powerful. They also nerfed the damage against players and structures. It still does the same damage against bugs, so really great for killing the Queen and her horde. But yeah, a lot less effective against players. I think this is a decent nerf. I would have preferred it to stay the same because I was having a lot of fun blowing the crap out of people that were running away in cars. But it's still really good. Next, onto the main attraction of the first round of nerfs, the medallion nerfs. The spring leg, or the double jump medallion, had its jump height nerfed by 27%, okay? And the energy cost of that double jump was increased by 50%, which is a huge overcorrection in my opinion. Like I said, anything that's nerfed by 50%, that's way too far. That's half. That's insane. It feels like so much less viable now, and I think the main problem is that it's just that stamina cost is way too high. 35 to 40% would have been enough of a nerf in my opinion. And then the Surge Medallion movement speed boost that you have by holding the medallion was nerfed by 8%, which is fine. You don't really feel that much faster than a normal person, though, in my opinion, so I think that might have been a little bit too much as well. And then the Slide Boost was nerfed by 50%, which is another devastating overcorrection, in my opinion. It could have easily been 35 to 40%, just like the last one, and it would have still felt like a nerf, but it would still feel powerful. Now the medallions are overall just not as worth carrying since you get marked on the map. Their buffs aren't that good. And all it really did was allow good players to use these medallions effectively still because, they have a greater understanding of movement and min-maxing the tech in the game. They know how to make something really, really good. Just take shockwaves, for example. The skill gap on those between really good players and beginners or casuals is really high. So yeah, the medallions are still super overpowered against casuals when they're being used by a really good player. But now when a casual has it, the buff is just significantly reduced and they don't really stand a chance. I do still think the medallions are pretty good, and I still would pick them up for sure. But I think the nerfs were a little bit heavy and could have been toned down. Okay, now let's talk about the buffs. They buffed the lead spitter to have less recoil, which is great in my opinion. But the damage still sucks, and that's the problem. I feel like a 5% damage increase was necessary. Also, you rank up easier in solos, which is great because you were really never able to reach S+ rank in any game mode. So yeah, that was the first round of nerfs. But just yesterday, that first round of nerfs was like a week ago or more. But just yesterday, Fortnite dropped another round in a hotfix. So let's check out those. This is the craziest one to me. Medallions are vaulted 2 weeks into the season. To me, this is outrageous. I do agree that medallions have become a little bit tedious and an outdated function that I don't think we need to see them anymore. And I would like to see them gone and replaced by something else unique in Chapter 7 because we have had them for, 3 chapters or 2? I can't quite remember. Chapter 5, I think, is the start of it. So 2 chapters. But when you remove those not even halfway, at the beginning of the new season, that erases half of the new content. I mean, come on. There really isn't any incentive to interact with the queens other than the mythic. But like the Sweeper mythic, for example, isn't even that good. So there's really no reason to go to Ranger's Ruin, I think it is, that has that. Really no reason to do that other than, I guess, OXR rank. But like the medallion was an essential part of that boss fight as a reward. Not to mention, they actually nerfed the Bug Queen's HP by almost 1,000, and especially in solos. And so now they're way too easy to kill. The Swarm Strike launcher kills the entire queen in 3 shots of it. So I don't know. I understand the frustration with like getting third party when you're fighting the bug queens, but when you make the core theming and gameplay loop, killing bugs and then fighting the queen and then getting the rewards, when you make that so quick and simple, you're really robbing the whole theming and experience of this season, in my opinion. I honestly think that the queens should have had more health and that the bugs around her should have had more health and more intricate attack patterns, whatever. I just think you can never go far enough with a theming, especially in Fortnite, where it kind of seems like they cook up a good theming and then they make it useless and not really prevalent in the season like what they just did right now, in my opinion. Also, the medallions were really fun and unique, and they looked great too, design-wise. I really liked how they looked. Super cool, unique medallions. We haven't really had anything like them before. I love the double jump. The boost on the slide was super cool. The Siphon medallion was just And I just can't understand this choice, and I really hope they unvault them soon. They weren't even that powerful after the first round of nerfs. The next heinous thing they did was removing the shockwave launcher, which to me is just dumb because, like I said, this season, their only movement now is shockwaves, which, let me remind you, they already drastically nerfed the spawn rate of shockwaves. So good luck getting out of a tight spot. Good luck finding movement. Once next week rolls around, though, it won't be as bad because they will be releasing an exotic shockwave launcher coming soon. But keep in mind, there's only one of those on the map, at least I assume so. And they'll also be adding the roly-poly bug ability soon. I don't know if that's with the next update on the 26th, but look out for that. I am really excited to use that and see how that works. But yeah, not enough movement. Rocket ammo, epic, and legendary loot is now much rarer and much harder to find. This one is fine to me because I think good loot should be rare, except I really don't like the rocket ammo nerf because it means the Swarm Strike got nerfed again, and in my opinion, really won't be that worth carrying right now because you can only find like 4 rockets a game or something crazy like that. I don't know. yeah, just a little bit too much of a nerf on the Swarm Strike, where now it's like, do you even waste a slot holding that? Who knows? Getting rank is easier in solos now, even more easier, which is a W change. The lead spitter has even less recoil, which is good, I guess, but the damage still sucks, so it doesn't really make a difference. The tournaments and ranked playlists now have the same loot pool, which is amazing because we were waiting for for them to split the loot pool forever. It'll just have a lot less people complaining about broken weapons and ranked, etc. But yeah, so those are all the nerfs from a few weeks ago and from yesterday. The biggest thing to note is no more medallions, which I personally hate. I think that is half of the new content they added this season in terms of gameplay. And right now, everybody on the internet is torn up on it. I think the majority of people want them back, but some are still saying that they're glad they're gone. They're way too broken and they want medallions gone forever. I think those latter people need to get a little bit better at the game before they voice their opinions so sternly. They got to realize that a lot of the time it doesn't have anything to do with the medallions. They're just not that good. And me, myself, I'm not even saying that from a point of like somebody who's really good at the game. I personally am not that good. I'm like very middle of the tier, skill level, not very good compared to a lot of the really good players in the game. But I understood that medallions weren't uncounterable. Like, of course, you die to them occasionally, especially if somebody has all three of them in the end zone, but it's still possible to kill them. Epic Games continues a trend of dropping an unbalanced season and then nerfing things into the ground, making them look bad and like they rushed the season and had nobody playtesting it. And I don't know why they're doing that. And of course people are going to get upset when you give them something super broken, super fun, really powerful, and then you nerf it to the ground 2 weeks later, making it a lot less fun to use those items. And also, of course, people are going to get mad when you give them content like the medallions, which in my opinion, like I said, were some of the most fun and unique ones we've ever had, and then you rip them away with no replacement offer. I don't understand that move. Like, the season feels a little bit bare bones in theory to me until they add all that new stuff. But like I said, there's always that new stuff shown, and it just takes forever to come to the game. People get sick of it. Like, I want the stuff ASAP, okay? Yeah, and then I really hope this next update, which is on the 26th, I believe, can fix some of these problems I have. But I really feel like the community right now is only talking about collabs and cosmetics right now versus the actual gameplay. Because Gorillas is a recent hype thing, and One Punch Man collab people are really upset about not coming out yet. But to me, those aren't going to do anything to fix the game at all. The Gorillas and One Punch Man aren't going to affect the gameplay in any other way other than the Gorillas having some jam tracks you can play. But who's playing Festival, in my opinion? So why do people care about this so much? It's just new skins you can wear. Obviously, if that was like one of my favorite franchises, I would care a lot. But I also would recognize that those skins are not going to affect the gameplay. Those collabs are not going to do anything for the gameplay, which is the main problem right now, in my opinion. Too many nerfs, too many things untested, too many things taken away from us. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the nerfs. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know if you think medallions should stay or if they need rework. I just don't think they should have been removed so early in the season. I think that's really unprofessional of them and shows their lack of planning and playtesting. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Make sure to leave a like, consider subscribing. It's been Oski. Peace out.